Seems legit. Laser. Hello Legitimates and welcome back to my channel. Today I am concentrating on Christmas gift ideas, and as you can see here I have made some coasters with the AI that Xtool has. So they are a low relief engraving and we have stained them and I've put little things on the back. This is done out of pallet wood, so I'm going to show you how to make these from the very beginning. So first up, we need a piece of pallet wood. My husband was lovely enough to help me rip all of the pallets apart, and this is my pile of wood now. I'm going to pick this one just because, why not, really? I don't want them too thick, and I wanted to make sure that I would have enough to get them all the same. So this is a drop saw. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make squares. So this little scrap of wood is going to help me quickly measure out my squares. So I'm going to push that little red button and it brings the drop saw down without turning it on. And then on the other side, which you can't see, there is actually a little pin that you can push to keep it down so that now I can measure it perfectly. So I'm going to push that up against the blade and then squish the bit of wood on the other side of the pallet piece. And so now when I cut it, it will be equal width and length. And I'm having a bit of trouble getting the pin out, required 2 hands. You also should probably clear your bench first. You'll see here I have to keep moving things out of the way slightly off camera, just because it's a long bit of wood. I only have a very small workable area, so I make do with what I've got. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off that end because it's not straight and it was also cracked. And then we're just going to push the board into the corner. So up against the flat edge and then all the way up against that chunk of wood that we've put there. And now I can cut really quick squares. I love how quick this is. And you can see here, this one's got like a big knot and it's not going to make a nice coaster. So I'm going to actually throw that piece out. Also in the middle of the pallets, you will see, not this piece, but the next piece would have had nail marks in them. So I'm also going to cut that off and put that bit in the bin as well, because those are no good for a nice coaster. It is the downside of using pallet wood, but these are essentially free. Like, they don't cost anything. Every second place in town gives away free pallets. Bunnings has a pile. A lot of other stores have them as well. If you look on Marketplace, people are giving away pallets all the time. So that's how many coasters I'm going to get out of this one piece of wood. I think it was 7. Yep, no, 7 pieces there. So now that they're cut, we're going to tidy them up. So I'm going to use my sander. I have Ozito tools because I'm not a very serious woodworker and I find that the cheaper tools work fine for what I'm trying to do. So I've got 120 grit sandpaper on here and we're going to do all the edges. You can see this isn't really working out very well. It's a bit tricky to do the edges, but you want to do the top, the bottom, and all the sides of all the pieces. Now, I'm obviously not going to make you watch all of this. We'll just do a little bit. But you can also turn the sander upside down and then push the wood onto it. I didn't do it in the video. If you've got a vice grip as well, you could put your sander upside down, put it in the vice grip, and then use it as like a tabletop sander, which would have been very, very cool. All right, moving on to the router. To get this nice little angled edge, we are going to start at the cross grain edge. So where we cut with the drop saw, that's the edge you want to start with. Apparently it just stops it giving us grief. So we're moving from right to left. I've sped this up so you can see it faster. This is, I think, double time or 4 times as fast. But either way, we're just going to go around each 4 of the sides and then add them to a pile. It is fairly quick. I did all of these coasters. I prepped them all in under half an hour. And that's including having my child outside with me. So I did this before I did school drop-off. I think it just makes for fancy coasters. So I finished it all up and I've got a pile of all 7 done. I like to put that edging on first because then we can line it up with the laser in a minute. So I've clicked on the AI button, and then this is, you get a lot of options in here. So today we're doing the low relief style, and I just picked the first two words that popped into my head, which was Rainbow Garden. You can see here I've done some other ones. The Krampus ones actually told me that one is too naughty to show me, even though it designed it. So I don't know what to do with that. But we're just picking random things. I've also picked 4 options. You have the options of 1, 2, or 4 generated items. I like 4A because I'm doing 4 coasters, but also because then I can pick the one I like the most from the selection. And you can see here I've tried to do a bunch of different ones just to have a bit of a play. So this is the Film Noir, which is black and white. And then if you click over here, you can see all of the different options that we can do. I'm just sticking with low relief today, but you can just do like more of an SVG style, where if you wanted to cut it out of basswood, it will generate that for you. Or words, if you wanted to do like funny word coasters, it'll generate that as well. You've got a lot of options. Vectors, it tells you what they all are. But I'm just going to stick with low relief today because I think they're going to be pretty. So they do take a minute to generate. They will generate all 4 of them at the same time, so you get to see them all at the same time. My internet's a bit slow lately. I think they're doing upgrades or something. So it is just taking a minute for it to generate. But here they come through now. And that is what they did for Rainbow Garden. So they've literally put a bit of a rainbow in there and then just some different flowers in the circle in a square. So when you click on it, you have the option on the right hand side to either download or just import straight into XES. So we're going to click that one and just have it in there. And it always comes in really, really large. So I'm just going to zoom out and show you. You can click on the corner and make it smaller, or you can just adjust the actual numbers. And then I'm going to select the 10 mil wood option because I am on wood. It's not 10 mil, but we get the idea. It's not a 3 mil basswood. And this just gives me an automated selection. I did this next bit off camera, but I picked 3 different ones. So this was the first original setting. And then this is the same settings, but with 4 passes. And then I doubled the power. And I really like the way the double power come out with how deep it engraved. And I think it looked really nice. So that's what we're going to do. And now we're going to make an actual set of Viking coasters. So I'm picking the Viking ones because they're cool. And you just click on one and then import to XCS. And they'll always come up really, really big, and then you shrink them down. But you can just put the numbers up the top there, and I've made them all about the right size. And then I will adjust them as we get to the actual coasters. So we're going to click the AI button, and then you can just click the next image and then import that. So you can do more than one at a time. I will actually be laser engraving all 4 of the coasters at once, which did take about... It took over 2 hours, so it was between 2 and 2.5 hours to get all of these engraved, but that's because it did 4 passes on a lower speed. I could probably do a higher power and 3 passes, but that's something else I'd have to play with. So we are now going to get the depth. Keep in mind if you're using pallet wood that a different plank of wood might be slightly thicker or thinner, so try and only do the same thicknesses per engraving, just because it'll change it a bit. So I'm going to push this into the corner before that angle that I routed into the edges. And we just want the design inside of here. So I'm going to get the cross right on each of those corners. And then you hit end marking and then can move on to the next one. So I won't show you all of that, but you get the idea. So it will do each individual one and then move completely onto the next one. So it does all 4 passes on the first coaster and then moves across. I haven't left them all in to watch all of them because I just think that's a very long video. But I show you like one a bit. So it does all of that one and then we move on to the second one. This is what they look like once they're finished. I think they look amazing. And you could quite happily just spray some clear coat on them right now and be totally done. They look amazing. Look at that. I love it. So you could just leave them like that, put a sealant and be done. However, I'm being fancy and I found spray on wood stain. So I really wanted to try it out with a project. I did pre-shake it before I come on camera. And I'm just going to go back and forth and then around the edges as well. You want to make sure you get the sides. We're also going to do the bottom, but we're obviously doing all the top first. And right here, the nozzle clogged. So give me a sec. I do manage to fix it. I was a little bit worried because I don't have any Jarrah stain otherwise. So we're going to let that dry and then we're going to flip them all over. So I come back about an hour later. It's quite hot where I live, so it did dry very quickly. And then I just let them dry as well. I had to make a trip to Kmart. This whole box was $4 and it's got all different size felt stickers, basically. So we're going to, they've already got like a self-adhesive on the back. So I'm just going to put one of these felt stickers in each of the 4 corners so it lifts off whatever surface you put it on. I think it's just a nice little thing. You could also cover the whole base in a piece of felt. But I like these felt stickers. They're very easy to use. And that's it. They're all done.